speakers may ask for a little bit less time than we allotted, the 90 minutes. So we'll spend a little bit more time in discussion of things that are going on in the business world. Each week after today, we'll ask one of you to introduce our speaker for the next week. What that involves is a little bit of research into the speaker's background, a little bit about them, their organization, whatever you can pick up on the internet, if they've got biographical data that they've turned in when we sign them up as a speaker, or anything else that is public information and positive and supportive that you can dig out. So oftentimes spouses have been called, sometimes children have been called, work colleagues, neighbors who know the speaker. And it really is a nice way to embrace and welcome them. There's a little bit of personal information about them that we use in the introduction. So if you do the introduction, that will relieve you from one quiz during the course of the program, and give you a chance to get up in front and identify yourself a little. I know there's some communication and public relations people in here, some marketing people. So you accounting students will have to get in line after the people who are in communications probably. Right? Nobody's laughing. I was an accounting student, I know. And that usually takes 2 or 3 minutes for an introduction, sometimes 5 if there's lots of information out there, whatever you feel is right. And it's perfectly fair game to call up our speakers and ask them what they would like to have you say about their organization or about themselves in terms of introductions. And sometimes they will say, don't do this or that, and try to accept that as well. Reflection papers are an important part of your grade. So every 3 speakers after today, we will ask for about 2 pages. And you be the judge of how dense or not that needs to be, that you use to talk about your observations regarding the speaker's presentation. Focus on the speaker's style, their organization, what they've accomplished, what their message was, how it resonated with you, what you would pick up from that message, what you might use or not. Had a couple students in prior semesters do the interesting would I work for test, and they would write a paragraph about why or why not they might work for that business person who was with us. One turned that around and said, well, if I were ruling the business, would I hire her or him or not, and for what job? So kind of interesting approaches. Sometimes one speaker will attract a particular connection with us as they talk about what they've done, either because they're in a career we want to be in or we've worked for them. I've had a couple speakers who had employees in class, and people have chosen to write about that one individual, and that works just fine too. Okay, so since it's a reflection paper, you get to decide what's important to you, and I will accept that and read your paper, give you some comments on it, and because we've got to do grading, we'll put a grade on it. But it's hard to screw this up, right? If you pay attention and are sincere and honest in what you think, then that's what it's all about. So that's what we're looking for, is candor, depth of thought, and engagement. The criteria that I'd look for. So anything else I can add on that? Yeah, Dave?
Are all these, and have any of the speakers spoken that did this business before?
I don't think so. Katie, do you know if any of the speakers have been here before?
No. A lot of them
Any other questions? So grading, I said, my goal is to get everybody a high grade. And that, I hope, is self-explanatory. One of the other administrative things that we will do each Friday is ask for volunteers to go to lunch the next Friday with our speaker. So it's a little tough to engage in depth while they're speaking or we're doing questions and answers. But come to lunch and we'll limit it to about 10 of us. And it'll be a chance to tell a little bit about yourself and then have more personal conversations with the speaker and with your classmates. And we'll do that up on the 7th floor, and we bring in lunch. So not a bad setting at all if you want to do that. What I would hope is that everyone in class would be able to have a couple lunches during the course of the semester. Sometimes we've had particularly hungry students, so I think the record is 6 or 7. And sometimes people have got a job that starts at 12:30 or something like that, and it becomes difficult to do. So if that's the case, just let me know, and we can work around that too. So hopefully, it's been a good experience to come to lunch. And it's part of what goes on often in the business world, and that's sort of the idea. Those of you who work sort of know how that goes anyway. So remind me if I forget at the end of Fridays, say who wants to go to lunch with our speaker next week, and we'll get signed up and probably send out a list of who's going. Yeah, Brandon?
Will we know about the speaker that is next week?
Yeah. So one of the things we'll do here next is who are guest speakers. But I think on the last page of the syllabus that we sent out, if you take a peek at that, it lists the name and the company and their position. So that's sort of as much as we put out in advance. But take a look on the internet or send us a note if you're particularly interested, and we'll try and get you some more information. So pick and choose who fits best with you. Well, that brings us to who are our speakers. So today I've already talked